Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon. We've got a packed episode for you today, so sit back, grab a cup of tea or a beer if that's more your thing, and enjoy tonight's episode. First up, here's the status report. SkyBox is well and truly in development now, but I thought it might be a good idea to clear a few things up before we go any further. The thing is, two things are being developed. The first is a serious physical working prototype, while the other is a concept product. Concept doesn't have to be real, it can be as wild as we want it, and it would just be what we'd make if money was no object and we wanted SkyBox to go to market, so a wildly crazy custom case or custom silicon could be used. But later on, the concept will be refined as we generate a product and branding. While the prototype is real, but it's just like a dev kit. It's the hardware we chose and researched in a compact case built to test and show the capabilities of the system. I'll try to design the concepts myself, but since this is as much your project as it is mine, if any of you want to have a go at designing it, feel free. And if I like your work, I'll put it on the show and we'll see where it goes from there. But rounding up our weekly status report, the case is bought, the research is in progress, and the idea is beginning to take form. Welcome to the suggestion box, the talkback radio kind of section of the video. This section may be a little bit long for those of you who like action and explosions, so I'll put a skip button there if you dislike lots of talk. Overwhelming numbers of you had suggestions for parts to be exchanged, changed, or just totally removed. And I do value all of your suggestions and insights, as this project is as much yours as it is mine. If you suggested something, I consider you a part of my personal design team. What I love about you guys is that all I announced were 4 components. And all of you came back with hundreds, literally hundreds of comments with different solutions, options, and ideas. The first part under great scrutiny by the Greenham audience was the Skylake Core i5-6400 processor. Many of you believe this chip is far too new and expensive, and that an older chip should be used and more cash should be invested elsewhere. However much I love the idea of using a budget CPU again, I went down this road with Lighthouse, and only a year after, the processor I used is already starting to feel slow. I know you can upgrade the CPU, but upgrading the graphics card is much easier, and I'd much rather you all have a great CPU and room to upgrade than a great graphics card that is held back into the past by a weak CPU. But all of your suggestions for alternatives were very good, and were all duly noted. For the graphics, I announced the GTX 750. A reasonable, low range, but it's a slightly older card. But my god, I had no idea how many of you hated the GTX 750. An army of you bombarded the walls of the comments section with suggestions to go for the GTX 950 instead. The 950 is a much better card, but if I use it, the price will only rise. And since my wallet is the only budget and I already own a 750, I want to keep the price low. But the 950 is impressive, and I'm seriously considering integrating it into the product, or at least offering it as an option. And maybe if I take out a loan with the mobsters or something, I can put it in the prototype. The last component that you all had something to say about was the 1TB 5400 RPM hard disk I chose. I went for this for the same reason I went for the 750, because I have a bunch of them lying around and I want to keep the price of the prototype low. But for the final product, I agree with you all. A 5400 drive doesn't make much sense, and an SSD or a faster hard drive would likely do a much better job. Summing up, your suggestions involved spending less money on CPU power, more on GPU power, and more on faster storage. I agree with all of your suggestions, and all of the claims that you've made are correct. So you've given me a lot to think about, and I thank you all for your efforts and knowledge. Something unrelated to components that you guys alerted me to was the fact that the SkyBox name may not be an option. Apparently some set-top box maker beat me to it. It's a damn shame because the name SkyBox sounds so cool. I was thinking Lake House, to keep with the Skylake theme and to pay tribute to the lighthouse concept I developed last year that never really went to production. But if you guys have any better ideas, I'm open to anything. So we may have to ditch the SkyBox name if we actually choose to produce this thing, but for now we're going to keep the code name as Project SkyBox to avoid confusion.
Hey guys, it's Lou from Unbox Therapy here, coming at you with another video. We got us a product, it's pretty cool, so we're gonna jump into the unboxing. Oh motherfucker, these glasses are killing me. Alright, so in here we got ourselves a manual. That's pretty cool, you know. I like manuals and shit in my products. It's got all the instructions and shit in there. That's cool by me. Up in here, look at this, we got a really nice packaging look, really boxed quite well. Chucks to SIlverStone for that. Just gonna take the box, throw it over here. Okay, let's pop this bitch down and have a look. Real sexy, nice foam, looking real nice.
But seriously, this case is perfect as a prototype for Project SkyBox because it's tight and small, exactly how the final product will be, meaning we can get an accurate reading of how selected components will perform in tight spaces with limited cooling. The power supply we purchase is going to have to be SFX, as this case is just so tiny, and the motherboard will of course have to be mini ITX. There is plenty of room in the case if you're a fan of 2.5-inch drives, but make sure to keep it to 1 in terms of your 3.5-inch drives. Cooling is surprisingly good in this case, with plenty of room for fans directly above components that are responsible for putting out the most heat. Now I understand size is really hard to judge on the internet, so here is the case next to my foot, both with and without a sock. Okay, I'm just fucking with you. Here it is next to a 360 and a PS3. Yeah, it's not tiny, but it's pretty fucking good for a full PC. And that just about concludes tonight's episode. Make sure to tune in for next week's update, and send in those name and design ideas if you're feeling up to it. And if you enjoy this kind of goofy computer content, make sure to subscribe. Thanks again, and good night.
Product is pretty cool.